Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you are now listening to Rob and Rat's World of Wonder podcast. So sit back, relax, and prepare your ears as they take you on a journey of all things weird and wonderful.
Hello and welcome to the Rob Rat Podcast.
We're back again for another week of podcast.
Yes, we are. And my name is Rob.
And my name is Rats. And we're going to stop singing because it's cringy.
It's a musical episode.
Yeah.
I hate musicals. Do you like musicals?
Do you know, I don't like musicals.
No.
I was just going to stop talking there.
Sometimes, like, if you're watching a TV show and it's like a TV show you like and they do an episode for some reason, they make it a musical episode or something like that.
Yeah.
It always pissed me off a bit.
But, like, you know, I rented once, back when you used to rent DVDs and movies before Netflix and all that. Yeah. I rented Sweeney Todd. Do you know that?
Oh,
one?
Yeah.
I like Tim Burton, right?
Yeah.
I rented it,
Johnny
not
Depp.
knowing it was a musical.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Is it a musical?
I thought it was a good film, right? But I rented it, right?
It's like Edward Scissorhands type of thing, isn't it?
It's kind of like he's a serial killer barber or whatever,
Yeah, okay.
but I can't fully remember it. But I remember renting it, right? And I thought, this is good, right? I was watching a bit of it, and then a song started, and then another song. I thought, oh my God, this is a fucking musical. I didn't realise, but I wasn't going to go back to the video store. So I kind of stuck it out, and I enjoyed it.
Did you? There's a new man, Hugh Jackman, you know, who plays Wolverine and all that. He has some film out, and I was waiting to see it because I heard it was good.
Yeah.
And I downloaded it legally, and anyway, turned it on, started playing, and it was a fucking musical. I turned it on.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. I can't remember what it's called.
Something or I can't. Anyway, welcome along to the show.
Welcome to the podcast.
That was a strange intro. For those of you who've never listened to the podcast before,
welcome back.
I'm Rob. This is Rats here, and we talk a bit of rubbish every so often. And we
talk about strange things and different facts and stuff, and it's a bit of fun.
It's a bit of fun.
Do you know what? It's good if you're going to bed and you want to have something to listen to, or if you're in the car.
And you want to have something to listen to.
It's
or
good.
if you're at work and you should be working, but you don't want to work and you want something to listen to.
If you want to pass the time, we are here to have a bit of crack. And
we're always here talking.
Yeah.
So anyway, you're welcome along to the show.
Yeah.
And if you're coming back again, cheers for coming back.
You said that already.
Did I? I'm so used to saying that. It's like what I say. I'm like a robot.
I don't know if you did or not. I'm only messing.
Anyway, we've got Instagram, Rob Rat Podcast on Instagram. Same thing on Facebook.
You and find SoundCloud, iTunes, all them places. Just search.
Just put us into Google.
Do it now. Do it now. Pause it. Do it now. Do now.
Anyway, normally we do an old segment called The News. Will we go to that segment?
We will, after we just say that today's episode is Guinness World Records Part 2.
Oh, it is, right? Because the last episode, if you have been listening, fair play, and if you've never listened before, go back and listen to the other one. Because we were talking about a man whose name is
Ashrita Furman, and we've decided to do a Part 2 of Guinness because we were talking to Ashrita, and he said he'd love to come on the show. So that's why we decided to do Guinness Part 2. So we said we come back and do it
because he's a guy who's the most Guinness World Records.
And we'll be hearing from him a bit later. But first, we're going to go to the news.
Rob and Rat's Weird and Wonderful News.
Hello and welcome to the news.
It's the news. It's the news.
It's the news.
Of the news.
So, any news? No?
No.
So you may remember, right, ages ago, if you're a long time listener, first time caller, that we had.
Is this about birds?
No,
God.
It's not. No, it's about storm in Area 51.
Oh yes,
right, because we had Matty Roberts on. There was a Facebook,
he was good crack.
There was
Matty.
A Facebook page.
He's famous now.
Yeah, there was a Facebook page called Storm Area 51.
Yes, which was an episode we did.
And millions of people said they were going to go and do it and go to the...
How many ended up going, do you know?
So this is it, right?
Yes.
So the secret... so basically, despite millions of people responding to the Facebook page, Nevada authorities say about 40 people... 40 people gathered at the gates before being confronted and dispersed by law enforcement. According to Lincoln...
So of how many million?
3.5 million said they were going to go.
But didn't he change the...
There was a bit of a stuff going on. Now, I have emailed Matty, but he's a famous man at the moment. But hopefully he'll get back to us. I'd like to get it from his mouth because there was a bit of crack going on where the festivals were organised and then apparently he decided he didn't want to be part of that festival anymore, and there was a bit of I don't really know the ins and outs of
I'd say it just got too big and
stuff was going on. I think he just didn't want to be involved in like a fire fest type thing where, like, you know, it all went tits up.
Yeah.
So I think there was a like kind of a one on in Las Vegas, which was kind of like inside of a nightclub sort of thing, UFO party or Alien Fest or something like that, but there was another one out in Nevada. But anyway, the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office said one arrest was made, but not for an attempt of freeing an alien, but just for public urination. So some fella taking a piss there, the cops.
So that was the worst that happened.
That was the worst thing that happened, yeah.
So
some people went up to, I think a couple of weeks before that, like a week before that, there was two Danish guys and they tried to run into Area 51 and they got arrested. They said that they didn't see any signs saying not to go in. Yeah. But yeah.
To be honest, I don't know. I don't know. I don't care about it anymore. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
But no, I'm saying it's interesting. But it's just like, I don't know if they don't want to tell us.
It's a thing that people have. Just
I know they're
obsessed
obsessed.
But it just shows you like
maybe there is something in it. But I'm that kind of way now. Look, if you don't want to tell us, then we don't care. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Kind
If
of
you
way?
do that kind of like act like you don't care, then they just start telling you. Although there was now, I was going to save it for another episode, but there was the thing that the US they have confirmed. So there's the Air Force confirmed that a while ago there was like these videos put out of like things moving across the sky, UFOs, and the American military have come out now and confirmed that those videos are real and they were not meant to be leaked to the public, and that they are UFOs because they're unidentified. They don't know what they are. So they're saying these things are real and they're
real unidentified flying
objects. They don't know what they are. They don't know either.
I think we've gotten to such a way that even if we do hear that news or see them videos, and even if Donald Trump come on and said, yeah, they're real, I don't think people are going to, unless we actually come across an alien, we're not going to pay any heed to it. Do you know what I mean? You just ignore it, I think.
Well,
a lot of
people are saying online with that is that they think that the military are trying to like slowly soften us to the idea that these things are real,
desensitize us,
and eventually
eventually like here's ET.
Yeah, here he is. He'll come out. He'll come out on the Late Late Show and just sit down there with Ryan Tuberty and he goes, "Oh yeah, what's
or he'll be on the podcast."
Yeah,
we get Ryan Tuberty. We'll get him in.
Yeah, we'll get Ryan Tuberty in.
Phone home.
Ryan Tuberty's
like of no credit.
Ryan Tuberty could be an alien, couldn't he?
Yeah,
the way he goes on.
Tubbs.
Yeah. Have you any news?
I have some news.
Yeah, right. Have you any news in your life? Anything?
Not that I'm willing to share.
Nothing personal, no. Fair enough.
So, a woman accused of feeding meth-laced bean dip to her co-workers. So, Medina Hernandez, who is a deli worker at the Jefferson Thriftway grocery store, was making bean dip when another employee came by to get some food while on her lunch break. The woman tried the bean dip and enjoyed it so much that she asked to take some home with her. While she thought the dip tasted funny, she didn't think anything of it until she started to feel sick after returning to work. She was taken to hospital and doctor found traces of meth in her system. Investigators believe another employee also ate the meth-laced dip. They do not think Medina Hernandez served the dip to any customers. They don't think she did. She was taken into custody and charged with unlawful delivery of methamphetamine, recklessly endangering another person and causing another person to ingest a controlled substance. Right. She was suspended from her job following her arrest. Medina Hernandez was previously convicted of delivery and possession of meth, 4th-degree assault and 3rd-degree robbery. So yeah,
she sounds like a nice lady.
But like, why would you put it in bean dip?
What is bean dip?
It's like like a dip for.
It's just made of beans. Is it like a Mexican thing? Is it?
Yeah,
like, you put tortilla chips into it.
Hummus is a bean dip.
Is it a bean? Oh, hummus is a bean dip. Is it?
Hummus, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but like, why would you put meth in it?
Well,
like, I thought, do you not smoke meth?
If you like meth.
But do you smoke meth or what?
I don't know.
Can you take it anyway?
I don't know.
I don't.
I have it in a dip. I don't know, but like some people like...
take it, ingest it, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe. Well, maybe she doesn't like smoking.
Do you ever see the effects? Do you ever see the effects of meth on people? Like it really withers them down. They look awful.
Yeah, teeth go and everything.
Because
like the what you call it, the Breaking Bad. That was what making meth. And they kind of like glamorized it a bit because you don't see all the dirty addicts, you know what I mean, on the street, like,
you don't.
Like melting away.
You just see the making the money side of things.
Yeah.
Well, they don't really glamorize it.
A little
things
bit,
went
though,
off.
but it looks
I know
like
what you mean.
It looks like, oh yeah, that's a bit of crack.
Doesn't seem that harmless.
That's a bit of crack.
That's a bit of crack.
But yeah. Whereas like it's just.
So basically, if you're on break with someone at work and they're having something they made themselves, be cautious.
Yeah.
There's a lesson.
If they look like they're on crack, don't have any of their bean dip.
But then they might, like, looks can be deceiving. Like, you look like a crack addict, but you're a nice guy.
I didn't even know what bean dip was either. So
yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, right. Drivers with smartphones these days, they don't often get lost.
Tell me about it.
Right? They don't often get lost because you're following, like, Google Maps,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
But what happened in Colorado is just a reminder that new technology and some shortcuts can go quite wrong.
God.
So that's how nearly 100 drivers wound up in a muddy field in gridlock earlier this week.
100?
One woman followed Google Maps and said that she was stuck in traffic on her way to pick up her husband at the Denver International Airport. She said, I pulled out Google Maps to see if there was a better way to go, and it told me to take the next exit, and it would be about half the time, she said. Naturally, I took it, but the road quickly became a dirt road.
That's the awful thing about Google Maps.
Yeah, she said she was following this line of cars. I thought as well, there's other people going this way, so it must be okay.
Yeah.
So I went ahead. But then there was nothing like, you need to take a U-turn or anything, so she just kept going, and then behind her, car after car, and they drove in and they got stuck in this big field. The woman said luckily she had a 4-wheel drive so she could get out of the mud, and she even picked up 2 other stranded people and took them with her. But others end up stuck in the mud for a much longer time. Google Maps have released this thing saying that they encourage all drivers to follow local laws, stay attentive, and to use their best judgment when driving. But it just goes to show you, like, if you're just following maps, you know what I mean? You don't even know where you're going.
I know,
now.
but that's it. You kind of just do trust technology. You think, they know they're doing it by satellite or whatever. But it has steered me wrong in a few occasions, like.
Yeah, I've often got it, like, and especially like when you're here in Ireland and you go and take a Google map and it says, oh, you take this left, and you're going down this little country road.
It takes you down quicker routes, but sometimes it's not necessarily because the road like that. You're being like, if you're going 30 on this, I think it does stick to speed limits, does it?
I don't know, but I know I've gone.
It does go bad roads.
It goes on these roads, right? And you get in, like, especially in Ireland, you're driving around and you go to this place and it turns you off to the left and it says it's going to be shorter, but you go through an area then where there's no fucking internet coverage, so it's following the map. And if you then take a wrong turn, it completely loses the map altogether, and then you don't know where you are.
I'm of the way though. If I was driving somewhere, I'd prefer it to take me an hour and a half driving constantly than an hour sitting in traffic.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be the same. Yeah.
I'd have, just to be moving.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than sitting there. But the only thing is, if you are sitting in traffic and you've got nothing to do, you could always stick on the Rob Rat podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. See what I
did
like there.
What you did there.
Yeah.
Or you could not.
There's a young girl in America in St. Louis.
Was there?
Yeah, she's still there. She's a 4th grader and she loves cheese. Cheddar cheese, she just loves it, right?
Yeah.
But her teachers have banned her from just eating cheese all the time during class and everything because she's just always eating cheese. She just loves it.
Sounds like my daughter.
You're only allowed to eat cheese like at lunchtime. That's it.
Okay.
So she's come up with a very innovative way
of eating cheese, smuggling cheese.
Pretty much, yeah. So she got a lip balm container and took the lip balm out of it and was like pushing it into.
How old is this girl? 9. Did you say?
She's a 4th grader.
Oh, 4th grader. Okay.
9. Yeah, she's 9 years old.
Good
guess. You know you're.
I know my kids.
I hope you know your kids.
Yeah. She took out the lip balm.
So she emptied like a chapstick tube. She emptied it out and she filled it up with cheese. And then she's able to just kind of wind it up. And she says now she can have cheese on the go wherever she wants.
She's probably selling these cheese sticks now, chapstick cheese sticks.
And well, apparently, like even dictionary.com was quick to point out that BAM is anything that heals, soothes, or helps a person. And if that's helping her, then the cheese is a cheese BAM.
Oh,
so that's her argument for being able
cheese lips.
Cheese lips, yeah. So that was like
cheese is lovely, isn't it?
I do like cheese, yeah. And some people don't like cheese. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? Cheese.
I
is
like
class.
a good mature cheese. Now I'm not too fond of blue cheeses. And
I
things
didn't
like
used
that.
to like cheese, blue cheese, right? But then I got like eating like a blue cheese dip when you get like chicken wings.
Do you like cream cheese?
Like cottage cheese kind of thing.
No,
is it?
cream cheese, like Philadelphia.
Oh, I do. Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah. And do you remember like when you were in school years ago, cheese strings, the kind of rubbery ones? They're not as nice now though. They're like,
because you'd always have a go. You wouldn't peel the string. You'd always have a go biting it. Someone would always do
I used
that.
to try and like to peel them all down, like the guy in the ad had.
Oh yeah, never did that.
No, that was
I kind of wish I did.
Stringy things.
I'm getting one on the way home.
Yeah,
as long as I don't crash.
And halloumi. Have you ever had halloumi?
No.
It's like a Greek cheese, and you fry it.
All right.
It's quite nice. There's loads of different types of cheese.
Feta.
There's no, yeah.
Is this episode about cheese?
It is. Yeah, but it's cheese. It's lovely.
Yeah, it is lovely.
You have it on pizza and...
You can have it on pizza. You can have it on toast. For other recipes on where you can have cheese, check out... is that the news, is it?
Have you any more stuff?
I think that's me.
That's me done as well, yeah. So that's it.
That was
our
news.
cheesy news. Cheers, guys.
Rob and Rat's weird and wonderful news.
Okay, so that was the news.
That was the Rob Rat news. World famous.
World famous,
apparently.
Yeah, all around the world. So, right, as we said, the last episode, if you're listening to it, was Guinness World Records stuff, and we're talking all about it. And
we're talking all about it again because, Ashrita, we got in contact with.
Yeah, because he's the guy with like the most in the world. So before we're going to go to him in a bit, but we got some more interesting records that I thought we just kind of...
Yeah, go on.
I'd throw some at you, right? So there's some weird ones, right? Most feet sniffed. So in a 15-year career,
that's rotten.
There was a man, he sniffed 5,600 feet. He worked as a foot care specialist, Dr. Shaw in the USA. It's a bit disgusting, isn't it?
Oh, God, that's like, why would you want to?
Yeah.
But why would you say, do you know what? I must have sniffed a lot of feet. I must contact Guinness World Records and get myself a certificate.
Yeah. There's the heaviest train pulled with a beard. There's
With a
man,
beard?
Yeah, your man. It's supposed to be sore, isn't it?
Yeah.
So a man in Spain, and he pulled a 6,000-pound train in 2001 with his beard.
It must have been plaited like a rope.
Yeah, probably make it strong. It doesn't say how far he pulled it now.
Even if he pulled it a bit, it still counts like.
Most pierced man in Cuba had 230 piercings.
Yeah, I always find them ones kind of a bit much. Like,
When people start kind of doing that.
You know, the
they
most tattooed man there, you'll see him as well in the 2020 book, but it's a lot. You do look a bit alien-esque.
And then there's the most modified man, isn't it? Where they put all the lumps and bumps in his head.
I don't like. I'm sorry. I just personally, I wouldn't be a fan of that.
No, well, look, each to their own.
Each to their own is right.
Look, people probably aren't a fan of our record. In case you weren't listening to that, in case you weren't listening to the last record, myself and Stephen are Guinness World Record holders.
You said the last record, not last episode.
The last episode. I got records on the mind.
yeah.
Anyway, so myself, Stephen, Brian Cawley, and Nicky Kearney set the world record
for hugging
for the world's longest group hug. 30 hours.
30 hours
and a minute.
We did it for charity and to get a record.
Yeah,
we wanted a record.
Check the charity. It was all about the record.
Well, if we're being honest, it was slightly about that. You heard it first here.
Most lightning strikes survived. A man named Roy C. Sullivan from Virginia, USA, was struck for the 7th time.
By lightning?
In 1977, yeah.
That's amazing because the chances that it happened are very slim.
It doesn't say if he survived it or not, but the 7th one, but I don't know. That was the last one.
That's shocking.
Oh my God, yeah. Most watches eaten.
Eaten?
Kim Sung-dol from Seoul in South Korea ate 5 watches in 1 hour and 34 minutes.
How did he have the time?
Yeah. Jesus Christ. You're going to try to do one for everyone, right? Largest hands. A man in Somalia, so almost 27 centimetres from wrist to the top of each middle finger.
God.
Huge hands, like. Most rattlesnakes held in mouth. Jack Bilberry of the USA held 8 live snake by their tails for 12.5 seconds in 2001 in his mouth.
God.
There's one here now, but I reckon it's been broken since, because it's the longest joke-telling marathon in 1992. Mike Heeman of the USA cracked 12,682 jokes in 24 hours. But are you having any on there, are you?
I am, yeah. I'm not bored at all.
Tommy Tiernan.
Yeah, Tommy Tiernan did
the
stand-up
longest
show.
stand-up show.
But I think telling jokes might be different from a stand-up show.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Maybe, perhaps.
The longest time trapped in a lift. So there's a woman, she was 76, and she was trapped from December 28th in 1987 to the 2nd of January 1988. So she missed New Year's and everything. She was trapped in a lift.
For how long?
She lived on the food that she had in her shopping bag. So 28th of December.
Yeah.
29th. So 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, 1st, 2nd. 5 days.
And she had food in a shopping bag?
She had a shopping bag. She was stuck in a lift, yeah. So
Lucky she had
obviously
that bag,
people were gone over New Year's and everything. She just left there.
But if she didn't have the bag, she could have died.
Would you die after 5 days with no food?
Drink? No drink? She must have had drink your wee, I
drink
suppose.
your wee, yeah, I suppose.
But if you didn't have a bottle, you'd have to wee into your hands and then drink.
Or stand on your head and just
wee down. But if you're a woman, you can't do that.
Probably just let it dribble down her.
I wee into your... If you had to wee into your hands and drink it, how would you do it the best way? Let us know.
Oh, I thought you were asking me.
No,
I presume you'd probably just try and cup your hands, would you? One over the other, like you do when you're getting communion.
Yeah, that's the way I envisioned it.
Or you could just wee onto your clothes and then wring them out into your mouth.
Yeah, but then your clothes would be wet.
But you're in a lift.
Yeah, but...
Just dry them off.
Dry them.
Most tennis balls held in one hand.
How many?
He held 18. This man in Spain.
I suppose if you kind of built them into a kind of pyramid nearly, you could do that.
Yeah.
If your man then could beat that if
the guy with the
shovel
massive hands. The guy with the big hands, yeah. Most people crammed into a smart car. 13 girls in Munich in Germany in 1999 got crammed into a smart car.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That'd be dangerous though if you kind of couldn't get out, or you'd have to be cut out.
Yeah. There's loads of kind of ridiculous ones as well. Like the longest tattoo sessions. So some man spent 33 hours getting a tattoo. Imagine that, because I've had tattoos and the longest.
That's longer than we hugged for.
Yeah. Jesus, the longest session I had was almost 7 hours of guy.
Really?
Yeah, and that was torturous after a while. And anybody who says that it's not sore to get tattoos is lying to you, because it fucking is.
I've never got one.
We'll do that in the show sometime. We'll get you
a tattoo.
We'll get you a face tattoo. We'll get you a Mike Tyson one.
Yeah, tear. Is that what he has? No, he has the...
He's a big fucking... Jesus, I don't know.
Samoan kind of one.
Most consecutive Pogo jumpsticks.
Who holds that, do you know? Is it Ashrita?
No, it's Gary Stewart.
All right.
Or maybe Ashrita's beat. This could be an old list. So in 177,000... 177 7,000. It's a lot. Anyway. Nearly 100,
A lot?
Nearly 180,000 jumps he did in 1990. Longest time to endure full body ice contact. So a man called Wim Hof.
A what?
So he's like immersed himself in ice.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, like it's like that's quite a long time. It's a man called Wim Hof, and I
think it's cool he did that.
So in the Netherlands, stood in an ice cube filled tube for 1 hour and 17 minutes. But like he just stood there like immersed with ice touching him. But I've seen this guy before because like there's like he's ran marathons like in bare feet, like only wearing a pair of shorts, like through like the Arctic. And he's developed this way of breathing. So he's like uses his breath to control his pain and everything.
Yeah, I think
so people immerse themselves in like ice baths and all sorts of stuff like that.
But like through meditation as well.
Well, that's it. They reckon the power of the mind, you can just get yourself
amazing.
to do it. Like I used to train jiu-jitsu in Carlo, and the guy who used to teach it there was big into that breathing. And I know, like, he used to get into an ice bath and just sit in ice and just, like, controlling his breath. And he would sit there for ages and get under the water. There's a guy, Niall, I think his name is, and he travels around Ireland teaching people to do it.
But, like, that's something definitely I want to do in a future episode, possibly, is mindfulness and meditation, because there's a lot of stuff to do with that. There's a lot you can go into when it comes to mindfulness, and I'm very into it.
Are you?
Oh, I am, yeah. Like, I don't practice it as much. I'd like to be able to practice. Like, look at this. We could share it on our page, because I know. See that monk there?
Oh, your man set himself on fire.
Set himself on fire.
Tibetan monk. Yeah,
Tibetan monk.
He was protesting against the Chinese, wasn't it?
Yeah, but to show the fact that he just sat still there while he was engulfed in flames. Now it's very. I think but it's a map. But it goes to show.
Wasn't it?
I know, but he had a cause, whatever his cause was. But the power of the mind.
I think it's whatever his cause was. We just said that. I think what it was the Tibet were being like taken over by China. I think, and he wanted to kind of fight back. I think that's what it was.
But I think there's a lot to be said about. If you think about the way we are now, we live in a society that is full of just. We're gawking into our phones all the time. We're sitting around each other. We're just constantly distracted by either our phones or television. Now, I love my TV shows and that, but like just being actually in the present moment.
Being present. That's what mindfulness is about.
It's about drawing yourself. I don't know how many thoughts go into the human mind every day, but hundreds of thousands of thoughts go through your mind. But it's just about beneath the thoughts. If you think of our thoughts as like our mind is a blue sky, we'll say.
Okay. I'm
going to paint you a picture.
Okay. Now let's do
all of the thoughts that come into our head, if you think of the clouds in the sky, right?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
They constantly come into our head. But it's so hard to see that blue sky sometimes because it is behind a field of all these thoughts. But to actually clear your mind of the thoughts and just focus on what's happening here and now, it's very helpful.
Jesus, yeah.
But monks do that through breathing exercises.
And do you try and do that type of stuff?
I try and meditate. To be honest, I find it so hard with having kids, but I'm trying to find the time to do it now. Just because I tend to get stressed a good bit when you have kids and that.
Yeah.
And I just try and just bring myself back to now.
Just to ground yourself back to now.
But it's proven.
How long would you do it every day?
No, I do not at all. I'm trying to get.
Because when I think of meditation, obviously you think of the old one. You're like,
no, well,
that's all the thing. But like
the whole point of that is that's. It's something to concentrate on. The hum.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's bringing your focus to something, whether it be your breath or a hum, whatever.
Yeah, because I often hear about that. People think about their breath as well. So that's even your man Wim Hof.
It's watching your breath.
It's just you control it. And there's a big thing with yoga and all that as well. Is even just like
yoga is a way of kind of bringing you into the present moment now through your body and exercises. But funnily enough, I started researching this. I was looking up stuff for a future episode, possibly. I know you're an atheist, and I was looking up different religions, kind of. Different things, and I came across Buddhism, and I genuinely started reading a good bit about it. I was fascinated by it. It's the one religion that doesn't kind of practice believing in this higher power.
Yeah, they're very easy.
Buddhism is like the Buddha was a guy who essentially meditated under a tree, found enlightenment, and the whole process of Buddhism is just like just being good to people and being a good person and looking inward. It's all about yourself. And
like I can say I was in Thailand. And like they're Buddhists there, right? And they're the nicest people.
I no joke. I probably will do a future episode on Buddhism.
But I'd love to do. I'd have to say, but like they're Buddhists, and part of the religion is just to be happy.
Yeah,
just to be happy.
I'm reading now a book
because they don't have much over there, and
I'm reading Buddhism for beginners. Honest, really? I swear, I'm halfway through it.
That's brilliant.
But I'm fascinated by it. I genuinely am, because I think, look, I'm not mad into being religious or whatever.
Yeah.
But I really like what they practice.
And so what's Buddhism for beginners? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's just kind of about the history of
into it.
Buddhism and like the Buddha, how he came about, and
But
what they teach and stuff. Like, now look, come on, I'm not.
No, but I suppose my thought process, and that's the good thing, to take the good parts from the religion, because all religions have those good parts, but then there's the
like even the Dalai Lama, who's
then there's the cult part that I don't like.
But I don't think there's not even much of that in it. Like, there's people who are the monks who are, even the Dalai Lama, who is a monk. He doesn't say he practices Buddhism. He said he practices kindness, and that's what he's about.
Did you hear about the time when the Dalai Lama went into McDonald's?
No.
And the man behind the counter said to him, like, he said, "Oh, can I have a burger?" The Dalai Lama said, and the man behind the counter says, "What do you want on it?" And the Dalai Lama said, "I want it to be one with everything."
I don't get it.
One with everything, because it's fucking like that's his whole thing.
That's terrible.
Is it? I thought that was a nice joke. And then,
if you enjoyed that joke,
the Dalai Lama gave him a $5. The Dalai Lama asked for his change back, and the man behind the counter said, "Change comes from within."
I like that better.
Yeah,
I like that bit better.
Maybe it's just the way I told it.
Fascinating thing about Buddhism. I'm thinking.
I didn't know that. Yeah. So and what you do a bit of mindfulness, you do a bit of meditation. Like
I'm trying to, but you know what I mean. You can practice mindfulness any time of the day. It's just about trying to.
It's something that's kind of got a bit more like.
They're doing it in schools now, and I think we will do in a future episode. Yeah, like I think some of the schools here in Ireland, like the first class, they're trying to introduce it to kids because we get lost in our heads. Like,
oh man, stress is a real thing. Like, you know what I mean, and you don't think about it, like, but because you could go through life for ages without being stressed. But when you do come through a stressful situation, it's amazing how like it'll affect your body and everything. You know how you feel, and you can get sick from it. You can feel bad, you know. But there's loads of stuff.
But you're loads of things. I think a lot of illnesses are to do with your mind. Stress causes a lot of stuff for you.
Of course, yeah, because there is a whole stigma. I know that's probably gone off point here, but there is a whole stigma with like mental illness, and like if someone breaks their arm, that's something's happened to you, and it's a physical thing, you can fix it. But like if something goes wrong with your mind,
it's so hard.
It's a different thing.
But like
people
they
don't
say
really like
to
talk about it.
They say that a big part of like people, thrill seekers, people who jump out of planes, or people who drive motorcycles really fast, a big part of what they don't realize, a big part of their enjoyment in that task they're doing is that jumping out of a plane or going 120 on a motorcycle, that focus, that makes you be in the present moment.
You can't be anywhere else.
You can't. But you have to focus, and you're actually being very mindful in that moment. So that's a part of the thing about it. A part of their enjoyment is that their head isn't thinking about all that. They're just completely focused
for that time there when it's happening.
Anyway, we'll cover maybe mindfulness in a future episode.
I like it. I didn't know you were doing that. That's interesting.
No,
you're deeper than I give you credit for.
Hey,
I thought you were just some fucking idiot.
I am as well.
You're a deep fucking idiot.
I am as well. Yeah. But
so you're going to be probably a Buddhist by the next time.
I'll have a shaved head the next time. Come on, I'll be here.
You set yourself on fire in the corner. Do it during the winter, hey, because it'll be getting cold.
It'll actually be a good way to keep warm.
Yeah. Anyway, we might go and do a bit of a talk to our friend here now.
Ashrita, we'll have a listen, will we?
Yeah, we'll catch up after this.
Before we go into it, though, I'll just say quickly,
a bit of an intro into him.
Like, he holds the most Guinness World Records, and I think he's held as much as like 600 at one point, and he currently
he tells us a bit all about it.
Yeah. And to think Ashrita he's in his 60s.
Is it? Yeah, geez. So he's at
65.
65. Fair play to him.
Let's listen to the interview.
Right, we'll catch up with you after this.
So, on the line, I've got Ashrita Furman. He is the man who holds the Guinness World Record for holding the most Guinness World Records. Hello, Ashrita.
Hello. Nice to talk to you.
How are you doing today?
Everything is good. It's a beautiful day.
Good. I'm talking to you. You're in Queens at the moment in New York. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Good stuff. Okay. So you started setting records 40 years ago in 1979 at the age of 25. I know it's probably difficult to kind of maybe keep count, but do you have any idea how many you've held since then?
It is difficult. I have a list, but it's getting close to 800 records.
Wow, 800 records. And do you know roughly how many you kind of still hold at the moment?
I have over 200. It varies from month to month, but it's somewhere over 200.
And how do you keep track about like when someone beats your record? Do you get an update from an email, or do you have to go and kind of look it up?
You have to look it up. Once a month, I look at the Guinness website. When you apply to break a record, you establish a page. It's a private page on the Guinness website, And so you could check all the records that you have held or have, and see whether they're current or whether they've been broken.
Okay. And how do you feel
for me, it's a lengthy process.
I'd say so. It kind of take up a good bit of your day. And how do you feel when you go on there and you see someone has beaten one of your records?
No, it's a very good question. There's a part of me that says, "Oh, darn, I can't believe someone broke that record." But in the end, it's really actually inspiring, because it means that the world is making progress. I mean, on some small level, but also for me, I know I could do better, and so it's inspiring for me to motivate me to train and try to get it back.
That's a great attitude. So in 1979, you set your first official record by doing 27,000 jumping jacks, which sounds exhausting. But since then, obviously, you've racked up, as you said, over 800 records. Why do you keep doing it, or what is it that drives you?
Well, it's interesting. It's really all connected for me to meditation. So, as a teenager, I was searching for a deeper truth than just, having a career, making money. And I started, looking into Eastern philosophy, and I became a student of Sri Chinmoy, who had moved from India to New York, and taught this philosophy of trying to get closer to God through meditation, but also using meditation to push yourself past any kind of limits. He calls it self-transcendence. And I really wasn't into sports back, in those days. I was more interested. Actually, I was you might call a classic nerd. I was, very sort of dedicated to schoolwork and reading books, and but this philosophy really changed my whole attitude about life, and I started practicing the meditation, and I felt this real tremendous energy within myself, and I had always been a lover of the Guinness book, and I decided, all right, you know what, I'm going to try to see if I can break a Guinness record using meditation and using this inner power that we all have, but never use. And so the first record I tried was that jumping jacks. And when I first started, they call them side straddle hops, I think, sometimes in Britain. But I can only do 50 jumping jacks when I first started. The record was 20,000. And within a few months, I was able to do 10,000 continuous, and I went for the record. And I broke it. I did 27,000.
That's amazing. And you must get yourself in. Obviously, it must be mind power, because you've some grueling records. You clapped your hands for 50 hours at an average time of 140 claps per minute. You performed 7,000 forward rolls. You jogged 50 miles with a pint of milk on your head. So do you just kind of go somewhere else in your head? Do you go somewhere else? You kind of just like zone out?
Well, the thing is, no, with the, let's say, the milk bottle, it's admittedly, it's a silly record. I mean, it's a kind of classic, pint British milk bottle, and I don't have a flat head at the top, so I have to sort of put it on the side, kind of keep my head tilted, and like it's really a concentration exercise, because if you lose your focus, then the bottle just slides off your head. So, and the last time I did it, I did 80 miles. It took me almost 24 hours of walking with the bottle. So it's really takes tremendous concentration, even though it is, admittedly very silly.
Yeah, well, of course. But that's why it's a record, because you're setting it. But it is amazing. For you, what is probably the greatest record you've ever set? The one that you're most proud of?
Well, that's hard to say. I mean, I've done so many, but I'd say you were mentioning about the forward rolls.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the toughest one I ever did, and I think I'm pretty proud of that one. It's consecutive forward rolls, and the only you're allowed to stop, to throw up, to vomit, and which I did. Unfortunately, the night before, I was doing this procedure called Carbo Loading, where you really eat a lot of carbohydrates to give you energy for the next day. And I had 4 slices of pizza, and I didn't realize that wasn't going to get digested by the next morning. And so, it was very messy. I was, throwing up. But I persisted, and it was really, for me, almost a spiritual experience. I mean, at one point, I just didn't think I could go on anymore, and I started just spontaneously chanting something, which I had never said before, and it's, I am not the body, I am the soul. And, and it was really, it worked because it kind of took my focus away from all of my nausea and pain, and I just kept repeating, this mantra, and it got me through. And I ended up doing 12 and a quarter miles. It took 10 and a half hours. So I think I'm most proud of that one.
That's amazing. And for something like that, you kind of just say to yourself, okay, I know how to do one forward roll. I'm just going to go for it, or have you practiced? Did you practice that before? Did you have?
Oh,
you
yeah.
done that?
Well, I mean, I do practice, and in fact, really at this point, and for many, many, many years, it's been, that the practice is actually, for me, more meaningful than actually doing the record, because it's this, this idea of self-transcendence, of really, kind of overcoming obstacles. And for me, it's using the power of meditation, finding the strength within, and really surpassing what you've done before. So, I did practice. I remember, in fact, for that one in particular, I didn't, I would roll around a track, at night, because I didn't want people to think I was crazy. And I remember, one time, sort of rolling around, and you get really, nauseous and dizzy. And I remember, going once around the track, a quarter mile, and I was just thrilled, even though I was, I actually didn't have any padding at the time. I was like bruised and nauseous and cut from, there was glass on the track. But I was so happy, that I had achieved, once around the track. So, yeah, I think I got up to 4 miles in practice. And then that's, and then at that point I decided I was going to try to break the record.
Okay. And has there been any records that you've tried numerous times to break and you just can't seem to get it?
That's also a very good question. Usually I kind of have an idea of when I'm ready to break a record, and so so sometimes it might take me even a year to train for something, but by the time I'm ready. I mean, I'm ready to make the attempt. I'm pretty confident that I could break it. So. There's a record for slicing apples with a samurai sword, and it's actually was held by a samurai master, and it involves having apples on a table. You have a samurai sword at your side. You take an apple off the table, throw it up in the air, and then with the same hand you have to draw the sword out of the scabbard, slice the apple in midair, and then put the sword back in the scabbard and do the next apple. So it's a lot of movements. I think the record was like 20 apples. What happened was every year this samurai master would break the record by 1 apple, and so I decided, I'm gonna try to break that record. I didn't know anything about samurai swords. I'd never done martial arts, but I decided I was gonna try it. And so it doesn't really answer your question because I didn't try multiple times to break it, but basically. It took me months and months to actually even almost a year to break the record. And I was practicing on my own in my back. Oh, I went to a dojo in my neighborhood with the samurai sword, and I kind of meekly asked the instructor, can you teach me, this, how to break this record? And he got furious. He turned bright red and started screaming at me and said, I am not teaching you that. That is not samurai. That is sushi cutting. I'm not teaching you sushi cutting. and he chased me out of the dojo. So I decided, all right, I'll just practice, on my own in my backyard. And I was practicing for a few months. And a friend who lives, in Switzerland, who teaches samurai swordsmanship, happened to be visiting, and so he came and watched me, and I think I did 15 apples in a minute or something, and he said, well, that's very impressive, but if you weren't holding the sword upside down, I think you could do a lot better. So I changed my technique, and eventually I was able to break it, and since then I've broken it a couple more times. So yeah, I mean there have been times like there was a record for running and juggling 3 balls, running a marathon, a full 42K, 26.2 mile marathon, and I did attempt that record after a lot of training, and I failed. It was a very hot day. And I just, at 20 miles, I just saw I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to beat the time. And so it was, very disappointing. But I just went back to the drawing board. I did more training. I found, it was during the summertime, I found a marathon in Idaho, in the mountains of Idaho out west, where it was quite a bit cooler. And I flew out there and I did the marathon. It was everything was going great until the last, it had 8 miles to go. And I got a bug stuck in my eye. Oh, no. I couldn't stop to get the bug out. So it was I kind of pushed through it, and I managed to break the record. So yeah, and that's sort of another one of my kind of themes is don't give up. There's always a way. Sometimes it's a change in technique, a change in training, a change, a change in sort of apparatus or whatever. That usually I can find some creative way to break through the obstacles.
It's a great way to look at it, I suppose, because I suppose if you do all that training and you put in the hours for it to get that far and not finish it, it must be quite disheartening. But you've got a great mental mindset for it. So even things like learning to juggle and learning to use a samurai sword, and I know you did the underwater pogo stick and underwater bicycle. You have to learn all these extra skills in order to beat these records. You must have a huge skill set built up in the last 40 years of kind of strange and unusual skills.
Yeah, I mean, to me it's fun, and it is. I think I like the diversity, you might say. Like, I don't know if I could ever be a successful athlete in the sense of spending, years and years and years doing the same thing. I mean, I really love, like trying new things, learning new things. I mean, I was never athletic as a kid, but I did learn juggling, and so I was, not a great juggler, but just to give you an example about the Guinness Book, so I was juggling, and I saw a juggling record. I mean, I don't have it anymore, but it was continuous juggling, and it was, I can't remember what it was, but I managed to juggle, continuously for 6 hours, which was, pretty good. But someone, broke that. I mean, a long time ago. But anyway, just to show you, I was into juggling. I did that joggling record, which is running and juggling. And then I was looking through the Guinness Book one day, and I saw a record for upside down juggling. And now I had never thought of it, but it's like you put on those inversion boots, with that clips on them, and you hang upside down from a bar, and you could juggle upside down. And so for me, it was like awesome. This is amazing. And I did break that record again. Some Japanese guy now holds that record. But it was exciting. It was thrilling, and it was crazy. But I remember I actually did it in Iceland. It was there was a launch of the Guinness Book in Iceland, and he invited me there, and I was going to try to break the record in a mall. So they set up. They had a bar, and I hung upside down in this mall in Iceland, and I'm juggling upside down. Everything's going great, and someone from one of the levels of the mall started throwing coins at me.
Oh no!
And he hit me in the face. Yeah, he hit me in the face, and it ruined the attempt. And I tried a couple other times after that. It didn't work. But anyway, it was fine. I mean, I actually already had the record, so it wasn't a great loss. But these sort of crazy things happen, I'd like to do records public, many of them in public, and in kind of interesting places, and you get, really unusual responses. I mean, I did actually break the record for standing on the Swiss ball. It's big, it's those big, I think you call them physio balls. You see.
Oh, I saw a picture of you. Did you do that? You did that in Newgrange in the UK. Is that right?
I did. Yeah, I did it at Stonehenge actually.
Oh, Stonehenge.
And,
Stonehenge. Sorry.
Yeah, I did it at Stonehenge, and it was great. I mean, it's a an iconic spot, and I was thrilled. I got permission to do it there. Sometimes I do these records without permission, but I knew I had to get permission there. And but the funny thing was people were passing by, and a lot of people were appreciative and encouraging, but a few people were actually trying to make me laugh or trying to sort of shake me up so that I would fall off. and so it's interesting having to deal with this, and again that's a serious concentration exercise. I mean, it's physical also because your legs and feet get tired trying to balance on the ball, but anyway, that was that it is even more of an achievement. I mean, it's more fulfilling even when you have to overcome those obstacles like people trying to distract you and make you fall off the ball.
Of course, yeah. You've mentioned a couple of places that you've been because it's taken you all around the world. I think I read somewhere you've broken records in over 40 countries, and you've done it on every continent.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, you did the space hopper on the Great Wall of China.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, well, that
have
was.
You set a record in Antarctica? Have you done that? Have you been there?
I did. So that was one of my goals, was to set a record in every continent. And I mean, I don't make a lot of money. That's not the goal of my life. And so I couldn't afford to pay to go on a tour of Antarctica or but somehow a friend of a friend knew an admiral in it was in the Venezuelan Air Force, and I was able to get a flight going from Patagonia to Antarctica on a cargo plane. So I decided I was gonna try to do the fastest mile on a pogo stick in Antarctica. I mean, being in Antarctica is not part of the record, but that just makes it harder. So it was really exciting. I flew in with a couple of friends. It was actually a naval base, and we got them to be some of the people there on the base to be witnesses, and we had to measure out a mile. Actually, I think we measured out a quarter mile on the landing strip, and I I set out pogo sticking. It was really exciting in Antarctica. The spring on the pogo stick froze, but you're allowed. They allow you to switch pogo sticks, which I did, and continue. And I broke the record, and we all had to, get back. The plane can only stay on the ground for an hour and a half. So, we did the whole thing, broke the record, and then, jumped back on the plane and left, within the hour and a half. It was really thrilling.
That's brilliant. That's so good. So, am I right in saying that you were attempting a record yesterday?
Yeah. It's a fun record, but it's not easy. Although it sounds ridiculous, it's catching the most marshmallows thrown from 15 feet away in a minute. And so it's a new. I mean, it's a two-person record. I have a friend who's really good at and accurate at throwing things, and so we have a local YMCA. We went into the gym. And you have to have official timers and witnesses. You don't have to have someone from the Guinness Book there, as long as you have proper witnesses and you have you videotape it, and you follow all the guidelines. They give you guidelines when you register with Guinness, and so it took a while because my friend and I had the record. We did 47. You have to catch them in your mouth. You
catch them in your mouth, okay?
You catch them in your mouth. You don't have to eat them. You just can spit them out.
Yeah.
And so we did 47 in a minute. Then this team in Japan did 53 in a minute. So it's getting close to 1 a second. And so the throws, have to be accurate, and you have to, sometimes it's not that easy to position your mouth, so that you catch that marshmallow. Anyway, it took us several attempts, but we were able to do 56 in a minute. And it's fun. It's not, it's not. And again, it's more fun for me really practicing. Because you make these breakthroughs, like you say, now we're not close. What can we do? We have to change this. We have to speed up that. Let me alter it. Like it's sort of like for me, sort of figuring it out. And sometimes, if it's a physical thing, really, kind of pushing through, your exhaustion, or it's like overcoming those obstacles, as I said, are really, more thrilling for me. So, like, in a sense, I expected that we would be able to break the record, although it was great. It was fun, even for all the people watching and for my friend who's throwing. But really, it was more thrilling, more fulfilling, in practice when, we figured it out and we first, broke the record, unofficially in practice.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, so coming up is obviously Guinness World Records Day in November. Do you kind of do something every year for that?
Honestly, if it sort of fits into my training, I'll do it. But I don't actually do something, specifically for that day.
Okay. Are you always working on something? I'm
always working on something. Yeah, I mean, in fact, I was going to practice this morning. That same fellow who threw the marshmallows, his name is Bippin. We were going to do a record practice where I'd stand on a balance board. That's one of those like rollabola with a board with a tube underneath, and this one is for throwing grapes. He throws grapes at me, and I try to slice them in half with a sword. And we had the record, and it looks like someone broke it. So we're going to try to do better. And so we were going to do that, but somehow that didn't happen this morning. We'll try that maybe later. But at that particular one, we tried. Okay, I was in where was it? It was in Cambodia, and we were going to try it. It was at Angkor Wat actually, and we're going to try to break that record at Angkor Wat. And so, so we were there. So we had, sort of like the witnesses and everything. And I don't know if I should even tell this story, but go for it. We were about to attempt the record, and the police came and said, sorry, you can't break the record here, So, we kind of packed up. We were very disappointed. I wasn't in Cambodia for that particular reason. I was already, there kind of on vacation. But, being there, I figured, wow, it's such an iconic spot. It would be so great to break a record at Angkor Wat. So we kind of moved along, and we found a spot. It was out of the way. Like, the police are never going to find us here. It's not hurting anybody. We're not damaging anything, so let's just try it. Well, unfortunately, those same police kind of figured that we might do that, and they had been secretly spying on us. I mean, and so they caught us, and it was serious. They called. There was the tourist police. They called. I mean, and we were actually in danger of getting arrested. So anyway, eventually they were going to confiscate my sword. They thought it was an expensive samurai sword, which it isn't. It's just a cheap sword. So anyway, they let us go finally, and we decided, all right, we're giving up on that, and we ended up doing it in Kathmandu because I went to Nepal after that, and we did it. So it was it was fun, and but I'm just saying, like, this whole idea of self-transcendence, like, the world is transcending. It's getting better and better, and so we did. I think it was not that many. It was like 18 in a minute, and now it looks like somebody did 60 in a minute. And they sliced 60 grapes in half, standing on a balance board, and and to me, you were asking in the beginning that question, how do you feel when you see someone's broken the record? So on the one hand, there's a little bit of disappointment because we had done the record in Nepal, and we did it outside this big stupa. I think it was Bodhanath, It's a very famous temple, and so it was it's a little disappointing. But on the other hand, I said, wow, this is amazing. This person and they have a much better technique than I do, and so it's actually thrilling to okay, so let me try that new technique and see what we can do, and I'm hoping that we could get the record back.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic, and your attitude is absolutely brilliant. You're an inspiration to us all, and you certainly make me feel lazy and like I'm not packing enough into my life. But, I just wanted to thank you for chatting to me today, Ashrita, and I wish you all the best, and I'm looking forward to watching you break many more records over the years.
Okay, yeah, it's been really nice talking to you. Thanks so much for calling.
And that was the interview there with Ashrita Furman.
Yeah, it was cool. It was good.
Yeah.
He's amazing, the stuff he's done.
It's amazing, like how someone can pack so much into their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you see someone who just wants to go and do things, and they just like.
But fair play to him. Talk about setting your mind to things and doing it.
Yeah, it kind of makes you feel like you're not doing enough with your own life, hearing that kind of crack, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Jesus, yeah.
We'd want to be doing more than this podcast.
Yeah, we should get a second podcast on the go.
yeah, a second one.
But look, if you enjoyed that episode today, there'll be more coming along the way. And if you've never heard of us before, you can flick back and look through some of the other episodes.
And check us out on Instagram, Facebook, all of them things. Rob Rat Podcast. Give us a like, give us a 5-star rate, and all that jazz.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
That concludes today's episode.
Yeah, and have a fantastic day.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
You have been listening to the Rob Rat Podcast. Be sure to check out our social media for updates on the next episode. And if you liked what you heard, then let us know by hitting the subscribe button, sending us a message, and telling a friend, because that's how the podcast grows. Thanks for listening.